This is Business Edge. I'm Tolulope Adeleru Balogun. Only 3 months after its last round of petrol scarcity, Africa's largest economy is experiencing fuel shortages yet again. Across the country, queues have reappeared at petrol stations, and motorists lucky to buy are doing so at a higher rate than the stipulated cost of 165 naira. Unlike the fuel scarcity experienced earlier this year, that was a result of a bad batch of petrol imported into the country. This time, it is the cost that is the problem. Petrol marketers say they can no longer afford to sell below their landing costs, while the NNPC insists that there can be no increases. What is the solution to this impasse? We break down this situation today on Business Edge. But first, let's take a look at the African business headlines. The Agricultural Association of South Africa is warning that the sector could take a major hit as Tiger Brands moves to close its canning line of business. According to Agri-SA, the canning factory employs 4,500 direct workers in the Ashton community in the Western Cape, and the loss of jobs could disrupt the agricultural value chains, including 300 peach, pear, and apricot farmers. In 2020, Tiger Brands announced the decision to sell the business, but the consortium that showed interest is having difficulties in raising the 300 million rand asking price within the 60-day deadline period. The European Union has called on the government of Ethiopia to lift the restriction on fuel supplies to the Tigray region, saying that the move is impeding the distribution of emergency aid to the displaced and vulnerable people in the area. More than 2 million people have been displaced since war broke out between Tigrayan rebels and the Ethiopian state. This has left 9 million people in need of food aid. Although the government declared a humanitarian truce in March, the lack of fuel supplies has restricted the movement of aid materials. Domestic and foreign transactions on the Nigerian Exchange Limited in the first half of 2022 have reached 1.506 trillion naira, approximately $3.6 billion. The figure exceeds the 933 billion naira it recorded during the same period in the previous year. A report issued by NGX Regulation Limited on behalf of the NGX collected transaction data as well as trading figures from market operators. The report also shows that despite the volatility of the foreign exchange market and rising inflation, domestic investors continue to hold ground on the floor of the exchange. Kenya Airways is set to purchase 40 9-seater short-haul aircraft, also known as air taxis, from 2 Brazilian firms as part of its move to diversify its business through its new subsidiary, Fahari Aviation. The airline announced the signing of the letter of intent this week with a view to taking deliveries by 2026. While Kenya Airways Chief Executive Alan Kilavuka expressed his pleasure at the potential expansion of the business through this means, he adds that there is not yet a financial commitment from the company. The airline has commenced its cargo partnership with South African Airways, operating on routes where SAA does not. Cargo accounted for nearly 20% of the airline's 70.22 billion shillings, about $597 million sales in 2021. The UK has announced a grant of 3.7 million rand to South Africa in order to help the country develop the skills required in the electric vehicle industry. The British High Commission says that supports will fund research to ensure South African students are developing the most highly sought-after skills in the electric vehicle sector, as well as new online training content and support for lecturers. This comes after the UK Climate Ambassador John Morton and the COP26 President Alok Sharma visited South Africa earlier this week to meet cabinet ministers over an $8.5 billion climate finance deal. South Africa previously said that the funding will be directed to public utility Eskom, but that it will also be looking to invest in transitioning the auto industry into production. The United Kingdom's development finance institution, British International Investment, has announced plans to invest $200 million in a joint project with Norway's Norfund to construct 3 hydroelectric power projects in Africa. In a joint venture with Norway's Scatec ASA, the two institutions share a 49% shareholding with each other. The planned projects will include the 205 megawatt Ruzizi 3 hydroelectric plant to supply electricity to Rwanda, Burundi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The 120 megawatt Volobe hydropower plant in Madagascar, and Malawi's 350 megawatt in Patamanga project. This is similar to a joint venture by the UK and Norway aimed at providing renewable energy to South Africa. Now, those are the African business headlines at this time. Our first conversation takes a look at the return of field queues to Nigeria. Stay with us on Business Edge. Barely 3 months after long queues at filling stations disappeared from across Nigeria, they have returned to the country. As the queues reappeared, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, Lagos chapter announced in a statement on Monday that it would no longer be able to sell petrol below 180 naira per litre. In reaction to IPMAN's position in the long queues that have lined the roads in Lagos, Abuja, and other major cities across the country, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority maintained that the pump price for premium motor spirits (PMS) remains 165 naira per litre. Joining me now is Ukadike Chinedu, the National Public Relations Officer of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. Welcome to the show, Ukadike. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning, Nigerians.
And you're also speaking to Africa as well. So let's get this conversation started now. So your organization, IPMAN, has said that its members can no longer operate at a loss. And due to the current realities in the market, fuel should be retailed at 180 naira per litre. So let's start by looking at what goes into the pricing of PMS at the pump.
Okay, you understand that independent marketers we are not importing PMS in the country. We are highly dependent on NNPC supply. So NNPC is the sole supplier of PMS in Nigeria. That's the fuel, petrol motor spirits in Nigeria. And we solely, independent marketers, will solely take our delivery from them. So we are the major marketers. I also want to let you know that 90% of filling stations in Nigeria are owned and managed by independent marketers. There is no place in this country you will go, you will see an independent marketer's presence. So our problem we are facing now is that we are no longer getting sufficient supply from NNPC accredited depots, which is government depots. And NNPC have 21 depots in Nigeria. And those 21 depots in Nigeria are strategically situated to enable independent marketers collect or buy their petroleum product within the radius of 200 meters, 200 kilometers to 150 kilometers, even to 100 kilometers. They are all strategically located in Nigeria. And for now, because Nigeria is heavily dependent on importation of petroleum products coming through vessels, and those vessels lopsided along the sea, the coastal area. And some PDOs, that is private depot owners, are now having their tank farms situated around that area, and they are also taking delivery of this product on behalf of NNPC. When we go to buy this product, the superior rate which NNPC normally give us this product is 145 naira, 146. But now, as I'm talking to you now, our members are even buying this morning 161 naira from PDUs, private tank farm owners. Because NNPC facilities can no longer service us. And all these PDOs are in Calabar, Warri, Port Harcourt. And these are the only places where we can able to, and Warri, where we can able to take our petroleum products. Because we have to use our trucks all the way from Kano, Bachi, Gombe, and travel almost 700 kilometers to go and get this product. IPMC has also brought in Petroleum Equalization Fund. This Petroleum Equalization Fund has not been paying marketers up to date. They are owing marketers huge amount of money, over 30 to 40 billion naira. They are also not paid.
Okay.
So marketers are now finding it very, very difficult to be able to get petroleum products and also travel far and far with the cost of diesel. A liter of diesel now is 850 naira. And we buy plus around 700, 750. So take your truck from Gombe to Lagos or Port Harcourt or to Warri to buy this product. It's costing us a lot of money. We spend almost 500,000 naira taking one truck to Lagos or Port Harcourt or Warri. So how do we sell at 65 naira? Our profit margin is 10 naira only.
So let's get into, so you've laid out the things that are along the line in the equation that arrives at the pump price for Nigerians. And of course, you've also mentioned the NNPC's involvement in this. At a point in time, your organization also said that the NNPC has not actually lifted any crew from its satellite depots at Ejigbo since last December. And you, as you have said, have been at the mercy of the independent lifters, the independent people bringing in the fuel. So what's the current situation now? What is the NNPC saying about lifting products for you at the subsidized rate so that there's an ability for your members to maintain 165 naira?
The issue is that there is profiteering between the NNPC and the private tank farm owners. I have told you before that we buy this product at 161 naira. It is against the NNPC prices. It is against the NNPC price. We are buying at 161. We are buying even 162. We are buying at 160. So how can we sell 165? It's not possible. I'm telling you that we are buying at 160, 161. So it's not possible for us to sell at 165. The cost of diesel now is very, very expensive. Every motorist, even houses now, they have converted their machines to fuel. So there is serious demand for fuel, more than diesel I'm talking about, because diesel is very, very high. You can't get it. Everything considerably is going high because of diesel. So the issue of NNPC saying that we don't have sufficient, if there are sufficient, but the refinery is not loaded. Our pipelines, we have lost our pipelines. This is what government is supposed to fix to be able to bring down this inflation and this unnecessary increase of the petroleum product. So that somebody who is loading in Port Harcourt can go straight to Port Harcourt depot and buy his product and go back to his filling station without traveling from here to Lagos, without traveling from Gombe to Lagos or from Gombe to Warri.
So let me ask you this, because I want us to stay on the NNPC, because they've been saying they're the ones responsible, only ones responsible, except for very few others, for bringing in refined petroleum into the country. Now, the NNPC has said they have enough stock to last for 34 days. So if NNPC has this stock, has it been made available to your members? Because if there's stock for 34 days, can't that same stock still be sold at the regulated price of 165 naira per liter?
Yeah, and like you just said, NNPC say they have availability. As I'm talking to you, the only two depots in Port Harcourt refinery in Port Harcourt that are having PMS. And Port Harcourt refinery doesn't have PMS. Satellite depot doesn't have PMS. Most Suleja depot doesn't have PMS. So what is that availability they are talking about? And I also tell you that our purchasing price from private tank farm owners, we are buying it at 160. We're no longer buying it at government price rate of 145. So how can we sell at 165? When you buy at 160, how can you sell at 165 after paying transport of almost 400,000? It's unimaginable. The financial to all these things is for the president of the country and the citizens of the country to fix the refineries and ensure that the pipelines are working. That is where you now know that all these things will come down.
So you make mention of the cost of transporting the PMS to different cities in the country, and something that has come up even without scarcity is that outside of places like Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, maybe even Ibadan, there are actually varying prices that the petroleum product is sold for, that PMS is sold for. So let's go back a little bit. Let's remove this current fuel shortage from the conversation. But is 165 naira fair or a sustainable price for all parts of the country when you have to consider the cost that it takes marketers such as your organization to get the petroleum product to different parts of Nigeria?
Yeah, like what I told you before. The cost of diesel is 850 naira. When there is PEF, Petroleum Equalization Fund, they rated the cost of diesel at 135 naira, 200 naira. But now the cost of diesel is 850 naira. We buy this diesel, we fuel our trucks. And I also want to tell you that most of our trucks take close to 4 to 5 drones to go to this kind of journey and come back. So the petroleum equalization fund is not sufficient enough to be able to, the money we claim is not sufficient enough to be able to take care of the wear and tear of our vehicle. Tires are very, very expensive. Tires you buy 100 and something naira. Now tires are almost 250 naira. It's quite unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate.
Okay, so I want us to go on a break, Ukadike. We need to look at some other issues as well, because even in this current situation, members of IPMAN, fuel stations that are parts of IPMAN have been accused of hoarding the product or hiking the price. You've explained the hike in price, but let's also look at the hoarding. If you have the product, and unfortunately Nigerians will buy at whatever price you have, why are you not selling? So I want us to get into that and also look at the deregulation of the petroleum industry, what it would mean for IPMAN and of course PMS at the pump. So this is Business Edge. We're looking at the return of fuel queues and fuel shortages in Nigeria. The conversation will continue after this. My guest today is Ukadike Chinedu, the National PRO of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, as we look at the issues around the fuel queues that have returned once again. So we will get him back on the line, but let's also look at some of the issues surrounding the accusations that members of IPMAN and others who may not necessarily be members of IPMAN have been hoarding the product here in Nigeria. So even if Nigerians are forced to buy the fuel without recourse to the stipulated price, there is hoarding going on. So there are those who have the product and are not selling. We also want to look at the issue around what happens next. IPMAN says they cannot continue to sell at 165 naira, while the NNPC and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority have said that the price remains 165 naira. And where does the organization stand on, of course, the petroleum subsidy? Part of the reason they were able to buy at around 140 something naira is because government is subsidizing the importation of refined petroleum into Nigeria. And of course, the full deregulation of the downstream sector. Hopefully we have our guests back on the line so we can continue the conversation and see how things are. Right there on the screen, you can see some of the visuals of what things look like here in Lagos, as Nigerians have been queuing for several hours across many parts of the city in order to be able to buy fuel. What you also have is a situation where the black market has now come back into play. There are those who are buying fuel at about 200 naira per liter from black market operators who, interestingly enough, are selling right in front of some petrol stations. So you have a situation where maybe you've been queuing for a few hours, you're in line, you're queuing, and then you get to the front and they say they no longer have any fuel. Just turn your eyes left and right to the road, and next thing you'll see someone who's telling you that you can buy at the black market rate. There was also an accusation from our guest earlier on in parts regarding complicity between the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and those who are meant to be selling the fuel to the IPMAN representatives. All right, so we're going to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up the conversation. And hopefully we do have Ukadike Chinedu, the National PRO of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, back on the line with me. Hello, Ukadike, are you back with me now?
Yes, thank you.
Fantastic.
Sorry for the transmission problem.
No problem. So let's quickly look at the hoarding issue. So while you've said that your members have not been able to sell at the stipulated price of 165 naira, there have been accusations that some of them do in fact have fuel and they've refused to sell, whether at 165 naira or 180 naira. What do you say about that?
Well, there is no independent marketer that will have a petroleum product in his tank that will not want to sell, because you also know that we are service oriented. My members are service oriented. As long as there is the product in their tanks, they will sell to recoup back their money. Most of us are doing business with bank money, so there is no way we will stock and hold petroleum products. It's not in our character. And if there is any independent petroleum marketers or any marketer you know that have petroleum products, there are what we call the police of industry, NMDPR, which is the regulatory body, who was formerly DPR, normally go around and check the tanks of filling stations to know those who have products on the ground. If there is a little bit problem, because if you're running our generator in the filling station now, it becomes a very big problem. The diesel engine we are using now, most of us are now trying to convert to solar, and also trying to convert to petrol because we cannot buy this one drum of diesel for 80,500, 85,000, and use it to sell products for one particular day, which profit is not even up to 100,000 naira. We pay salary, we pay taxes, we transport these petroleum products. So I don't think any right-thinking independent marketer will hold products at this particular point in time.
Okay.
We buy and we sell. Turnover is our watchword.
All right. So there is recourse for Nigerians to complain and to make complaints if they find that situation. So I want to go back to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. On Tuesday, they've maintained that the pump price for PMS is 165 naira. So it would mean that any of your members selling above that right now are in contravention of the regulatory authority. So what is the next step for IPMAN? Is there a meeting between you and the stakeholders in this industry? Is there a resolution to be had? Again, remembering that the NNPC says that it does have stock for about 30-something days. What is the next step?
While we cried out at this particular point in time is to tell Nigerians and expose what has been going on. We cannot be working and suffering. And Nigerians will expect that we should also be smiling. There's no way we can buy petroleum product at 161 naira, 162 naira. And Nigerians will expect us to sell it at 165 naira. It is not done. We do not put the cost of transportation. We do not put the cost of haulage. We do not put the cost of maintaining the station. We do not put all the costs we incur. As independent marketers, we pay our rent, we pay our staff. We also borrow money, the cost of funds. So if you find that we're almost running at a loss, and we have categorically stated that NDPR should go to private tank farms where they are selling this product to us at 161 naira and ensure that they sell it at government-approved price. PMS is relegated in this country. So there is no way we'll go to these tank farms to go and buy at 161 because we want to remain in business. If you shut down your filling station for a month, the overhead cost will kill you. So that is why you see that when we go there, we don't have any other option than to buy at their pace. And they keep on increasing from 157 to 160, from 160 to 161. So that is what we are seeing now. It's for the NDPR to do their investigation and be able to come out with a blueprint document that, yes, the product is a government approved rate of 147, 146, 145.
Okay, so let me ask this last question, which has two levels to it. So right now, IPMAN has said that they want PMS to go to 180 naira per liter. And the expectation is that with full deregulation of the downstream sector, it should guarantee fuel availability and also free up some funds that were used in subsidy payments. But then there are a lot of people who believe that 180 naira, while that might be the price you're asking for now, is not the real cost of PMS per liter in Nigeria. So two questions. Are you still asking for 180 naira per liter as of now? And what is really the real cost of fuel? Is that 180 just to be able to make some profit, or is it the true cost of petroleum right now?
Our request, our demand from government is very simple. One, availability of the petroleum products, whether in PDO or whether in NNPC depots. Let it be at government-approved price of 147. That is our request. Let that be availability. When there is no availability, that is when these tank farm owners do profiteering. Because when there is no availability, if there is availability, it will reduce the price. But when there is no availability, it will increase its price. If there is anywhere in Nigeria that are selling the petrol at 140, independent marketers will go there and buy. We want to buy cheap so that we can sell it. Turnover is our best bet. We want turnover. It is not good that you buy one product, it will take you almost 3 weeks to buy another one. No. When the product is not scarce, that's when we make money. It's not even when there is scarcity. So what we are praying and what we are asking government is to be able to ensure that our refineries are being fixed and our refineries are supplying the 21 depots. Let me tell you, if there are products in the 21 depots of government, that we don't have any business going to private depots to go and buy.
Yes.
Private depots will beg us to come to, even they will use their trust to bring it to our stations to sell. We don't have any business at all. When there is availability in a Jibo depot, satellite depot, Mosimi depot, when there is availability in Port Harcourt refinery, Aba, Enugu, and Makode, when there's availability in Yola, all these are NNPC depots. For the past 5 years now, no product has been loaded in Yola depot. No product has been loaded in Mina. No product has been loaded in Sileja. What we are doing is preaching, carrying products from a wet area to a dry area. That is why it is scarcity in any little hinge or obstruction in terms of supply. Scarcity will appear in Abuja.
All right. Ukadike Chinedu, thank you so much. Apologies for cutting you off there. Thank you so much for your time. We will let you go now. But we know that this unfortunately may persist for the next few days. And if there are any updates, we look forward to talking to you.
No problem.
Thank you so much. And so breaking down what goes into the final pump price of the PMS and the players. One very important thing in this conversation is the players in the center of it. IPMAN may be the person that Nigerians see at the end, but behind them and before you get to IPMAN is a whole host of people. And one of the most important players, if not the most important, is the Nigerian government. Now, Nigeria is one of the world's top crude oil producers with an excess of 36 million barrels of proven crude oil reserves. The country has 5 refineries which are barely refining any crude. So Nigeria has to import refined petroleum. This takes a large chunk of the nation's import bill. Between 2015 and 2019, Nigeria's total import value stood at $220.2 billion. In the same period, refined petroleum imports contributed $37.85 billion. That is almost 17% of the total import value. News Central recently covered the queues that have returned to major cities across the country, and let's see what this report says about that.
Yellow, green and blue in various colors and sizes, Lagos residents arrange their jerrycans at the pump of the few petrol stations as the fuel scarcity situation hits various parts of Lagos, southwest Nigeria, with more stations experiencing longer queues than others. For these stations, the hope of motorists seems dashed, as a technical issue has halted the sales of the premium motor spirit.
Initially, the queue was moving at a steady rate. I think all the pumps fuel was sold from all the pumps, but I think they have technical issues, which has taken about 4 hours. And so far, they've been good. I mean, they've been professional, they've been selling. But I think it's more of a technical issue with their gen and the fact that there's no light, and so that's why we're having the delay.
Aggrieved motorists, after staying for hours looking for fuel, appear to have found new friends here and perhaps resigned to fate.
We are just seeing queue suddenly. We don't know the cause. Maybe it's the marketer that did not supply, or we don't know what is, or they want to increase. Maybe that's what people are suggesting. It makes me feel bad, because how long are we going to continue in this mess? This is a mess.
Managers of filling stations speaking off camera said the likely cause of the scarcity is the high cost of diesel used in transporting petrol across the country. For the motorists, it's a case of when would these come to an end.
Diesel no day, gas no day, kerosene no fit buy, charcoal, wahala, firewood. You know if you use that for landlord, you don't even see firewood. Which one one way could do? Please, you be where even the what you want to do? Gas now, no fit buy 6 liters of gas now. They say 5,800. What you want to do now? You know, like if when some place I say they sell 200 naira per liter. Make you even see me buy, me come out. Since morning, since 7 o'clock now we dey here. Say I'm out to go back. Please, Nigeria, I don't know what you do. Anywhere we do, may they forgive us.
It is the second time this year that the states across the nation experienced these, as early signs of the scarcity surfaced last Wednesday in Lagos, following weeks of scarcity in Abuja, the nation's federal capital territory. Niyi Omoni, reporting for News Central.